Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture series on group theory. Myself Sudhakar. In the previous lecture, we discussed about few problems on finite abelian group. In this lecture also, I will consider other important problems on finite abelian group. So the first problem is show that the set of all fourth roots of unity is a finite abelian group under multiplication. Now let us understand what are fourth roots of unity. You know that unity means 1. Let us consider fourth root of 1 is equal to x. Next up we can write it as 1 is equal to x power 4. Or it can be written as x power 4 is equal to 1. So you take 1 to the left hand side, you get x power 4 minus 1 is equal to 0. Now x power 4 can be written as x square whole square minus 1 can be written as 1 square is equal to 0. Now it is of the form a square minus b square is equal to 0. We shall use the formula a square minus b square is equal to a minus b into a plus b. Therefore this can be written as x square minus 1 into x square plus 1. Now product of two factors is equal to 0. Therefore x square minus 1 is equal to 0. We get x is equal to plus or minus 1. Or x square plus 1 is equal to 0, we get x is equal to plus or minus I. Therefore, we got 4 roots, plus or minus 1 and plus or minus I. Therefore, these are the fourth roots of unity. That is plus or minus 1 and plus or minus I. Now, from the problem, we shall note that what is given. So, set is fourth roots of unity, that is plus or minus 1 and plus or minus I. And what is the binary operation? Binary operation is multiplication. And what is our aim? Our aim is to prove that G is a finite abelian group under multiplication. Let us prove. So consider the given set, that is plus or minus 1 and plus or minus I, where I square is equal to minus 1. Now we shall write to prove that G dot is a finite abelian group. So we have to prove G is a finite abelian group under the binary operation. What is the binary operation? That is multiplication. So since the given set is a finite set, we shall consider the composition table. Okay, you know that in the first box we should write always the given binary operation. So I write dot which represents multiplication. Now in the topmost row or header row, we shall write the elements of G. That is minus 1, 1, minus I. In the header column also, you write the same elements. That is minus 1, 1, minus I. Okay, now we shall fill up these boxes. So using the operation, that is multiplication. Now, minus 1 into minus 1 is 1. Next, minus 1 into 1, that is minus 1. Minus 1 into minus I, that is I. Minus 1 into I is minus I. Okay, next row. 1 into minus 1, minus 1. 1 into 1 is 1. Next 1 into minus I is minus I. Next 1 into I is I. Similarly next row, minus 1 into minus I into minus I is, minus I into minus 1 is I. Minus I into 1 is minus I. Minus I into minus I, that is plus I square. Plus I square means that is minus 1. Minus I into I is minus I square, that is plus 1. Next the last row, I into minus 1 is minus I into 1 is I into minus I is minus I square, so we get 1. Next I into I is I square, the value is minus 1. Okay, now observe these values. So what are the values we got? So we have 1, -1, I and -I. We don't have any other values other than this -1, 1 and I minus I. Now we shall write the closure law. So what is closure law? We have observed that we got the elements which are present in the set G. So we write all the entries in the table are same as the elements of G. That means in the table whatever the elements we got are nothing but the elements of G. Therefore closure law is satisfied. Next is associative law. So to prove or to verify associative law, we have to consider three elements. So I consider three elements, -1, I and -I. Now let us consider the left hand side of associative law. That is, you know that left hand side of associative law means A dot of B dot C. So -1 into I into -I. Simplify I into -I. I into -I is -I square. -I square means 1. So -1 into 1, I get -1. Next, you consider right hand side of associative law. That is A into B into C. Therefore, here we shall write -1 into I into -I. Simplify this first. So -1 into I is -I into -I. Therefore, -I into -I is -I square, which is -1. Therefore, we got left hand side is equal to right hand side. So, if you can verify by considering any three elements of G. Therefore, in general, A dot of B dot C is equal to A dot B into C. This is true for all A, B, C belongs to G. Therefore, associative law is satisfied. Identity law. Again, look into the table. Now, what is the topmost row? -1, 1, -I. And you should observe in the remaining rows whether we have the same elements in same order. So first row I don't have the elements in same order. Second row, so we have the elements -1, 1, I, which is same as the topmost row. Therefore, this row is added by 1. Therefore, 1 is the identity element. Or you can observe that if you consider any element of the set G and if you multiply 1, I get the same element. In that way also, you can get the identity element. Therefore, what is the identity element here? 1. Therefore, we shall write row adding 1 is same as the topmost row. Therefore, 1 is the identity element of the set G. Usually in cube roots of unity or fourth roots of unity or nth roots of unity, you can check that we get 1 is the identity element. Therefore, identity law is satisfied. Next, we shall consider the inverse law. Again, consider the table. So, using the table, you can find the inverse element. So, we shall find the inverse of -1. So, what is the inverse of -1? How to find? So, you move forward. If you get the identity element, you should stop. Next, you move upwards. So, what is this element? -1. So, inverse of -1 is -1. Or you can check -1 into -1. The answer is 1. Next, we shall find the inverse of 1. Again, move forward. So, if you get identity, you should stop. Next, move upwards to the topmost row. So, the element is 1. So, inverse of 1 is 1. Always we get inverse of identities itself. Next, what is the inverse of -I? So, again move forward. We got the identity. And in the topmost row, so we have I. So, inverse of -I is I. Next, last one is I. So, again we shall move forward. We got the identity. and we shall go to topmost row. We got the element minus I. Therefore, what is the inverse of I? Minus I. So we shall write those one. So inverse of minus 1 is minus 1. Inverse of 1 is 1. Inverse of minus I is I. And inverse of I is minus I. Without table also you can find. So what is inverse of 1? What is the element you should multiply, so get identity element, that is 1. So that is nothing but minus 1. Similarly, what is the inverse of 1? So you know that it is identity. If you multiply 1 only, you get 1. Therefore, inverse of 1 is 1. Similarly, what is the inverse of minus I? So if you put I get minus I square. Minus I square is 1. If you put minus I, you get plus I square, that is minus 1. So I don't get identity element. Therefore, inverse of minus I is I. So what is the inverse of I? If inverse of minus I is I, inverse of I is minus I. So you get 1. So in this way also you can find the inverses of these elements. Now we got the inverse of every element of the set G. Therefore, inverse law is satisfied. Consider commutative law. Again, observe the table carefully. The table is symmetrical about the principal diagonal. That means if you fold the table with respect to the principal diagonal, the elements overlaps. Or you can see the first row elements are identical with first column elements. Similarly, second row, third row, fourth row elements are identical with second column, third column and fourth column respectively. Therefore, the table is symmetrical about the principal diagonal. Therefore, commutative law is satisfied. Therefore, all the 5 laws are verified. And also note that how many elements are there in the set G? There are 4 elements. So what is the order of that element? Order of the set G. Order of the set G is 4. 4 means it is a finite number. Therefore, we can write G is a finite abelian group under multiplication. Therefore, we have proved that fourth roots of unity is a finite abelian group under multiplication. Now the next question is, show that the set of all nth roots of unity is a abelian group under multiplication. Just now we proved fourth roots of unity is a abelian group under multiplication. Similarly, you can prove square roots of unity, cube roots of unity, or any roots of unity is a abelian group under multiplication. Now we shall considering in general, that is nth roots of unity is a abelian group under multiplication. Again, we shall understand what are nth roots of unity. Okay, we shall write the nth root of unity, that is nth root of 1, let it be x. That is x is equal to 1 to the power 1 by n, or x power n minus 1 is equal to 0. So the roots which satisfies this equation are all nth roots of unity. Okay, in the next step, I consider this one, x is equal to, now observe carefully, 1 can be written as cos 0 plus I sin 0. What is cos 0? 1 plus I into sin 0. Sin 0 is 0, therefore I into 0 is 0. 1 plus 0, we get 1. Therefore, 1 can be written as cos 0 plus I sin 0 to the power 1 by n, you write as it is. Next step, that is x is equal to, so in general, cos 0 can be written as cos of 2 pi r, where r is an integer, plus I into sin 2 pi r. If you put r is equal to 0, I get cos of 0 plus I sin of 0, so I get 1. If you put r is equal to 1, you get cos 2 pi. What is cos 2 pi? Again, it is equal to 1. Sin 2 pi is 0. So I get, if you put any value for r, I get 1. So now using De Moivre's theorem, so we can write x as x is equal to cos 2 pi r by n plus I sin 2 pi r by n. Now using Euler's formula, that is cos theta plus I sin theta can be written as e to the power I theta. Therefore, this value can be written as x is equal to e to the power 2 pi I r by n. So what is r? R is nothing but 0, 1 up to n minus 1. So here I have n values. If you substitute r is equal to 0, r is equal to 1 up to n minus 1, I get nth roots of unity. Okay, now x is equal to, this can be written as e to the power 2 pi by n whole to the power r. Again, r we have 0, 1 up to n minus 1. Now write a has e to the power 2 pi I by n. Therefore, this becomes x is equal to a power r. Again, what is a? A is equal to e to the power 2 pi I by n, and r as it is 0, 1 up to n minus 1. Therefore, I write this set G as 1a square etc. e to the power n minus 1. For r, you write the values. If you put r is equal to 0, I get a power 0, so I get 1. Next you put r is equal to 1, I get a power 1. Next you put r is equal to 2, I get a power 2 up to put r is equal to n minus 1, I get a power n minus 1. What is a? A is nothing but e to the power 2 pi I by n. So we shall consider this as the nth roots of unity. Okay, let us come back. So again observe the problem. What is given? The set is nth roots of unity, and the binary operation is again multiplication. And what is to be proved? We have to prove G is a abelian group under multiplication. Okay, let us prove. So we shall write the given set G as cos 2 pi r by n plus I sin 2 pi r by n, where r is 0, 1 up to n minus 1. Using Euler's formula, cos theta plus I sin theta can be written as e to the power I theta. Therefore, this can be written as e to the power 2 pi I r by n, where r is equal to 0, 1 up to n minus 1. Again, e to the power 2 pi r by n can be written as e to the power 2 pi I by n whole to the power r. And we shall take e to the power 2 pi I by n as a. Therefore, it can be written as a to the power r, and you put values for r. Therefore, I get 1 a square etc. e to the power n minus 1, where a is equal to e to the power 2 pi I by n. So you can consider this or this set, and you can prove the nth roots of unity is abelian group under multiplication. Now I consider this set. We shall use another method to prove nth roots of unity is abelian group under multiplication. And also you note that since here we have cos theta or cos 2 pi r by n plus I sin 2 pi r by n, these are nothing but complex numbers. So nth roots of unity, here what we have, these are all complex numbers. Therefore, the set G, which is the set of all nth roots of unity, in other words, it is a set of complex numbers. So these are all complex numbers. You should keep in mind. Okay, next, what is our aim? To prove that G dot is a abelian group, or G is a abelian group under multiplication. So now we shall consider three elements in the set G. So I take let x, y, z belongs to G. X, y, z belongs to G means these are the three elements in G. Three elements in G means these three elements are nth roots of unity. One of the nth roots of unity. So I have considered only three elements. So since these are the nth roots of unity, that means it must satisfy the equation. What is that equation? X to the power n minus 1 is equal to 0. If x is an nth root of unity, it must satisfy this equation, or this equation can be written as x to the power n is equal to 1. If x is an nth root of unity, it must satisfy x to the power n is equal to 1. If y is an nth root of unity, then y power n is equal to 1. If z is an nth root of unity, then z power n is equal to 1. Therefore, we can write x power n is equal to 1, y power n is equal to 1, and z power n is equal to 1. Next, consider closure law. So we have taken two elements, x, y belongs to G. Now what is our aim to prove closure law? Take any two elements and you multiply. Why we have to multiply? Because the binary operation is multiplication. So I should show xy is in G. How we can say xy belongs to G? What are x and y? X and y are nth roots of unity. If xy belongs to G means it has satisfied x to the power n is equal to 1 and y to the power n is equal to 1. Now to show that xy belongs to G, I should show xy to the power n is equal to 1. Then only I can say xy belongs to G. Okay, for that, consider xy whole to the power n, and this can be written as x power n into y power n. So what is the value? X power n is 1 and y power n is 1. Therefore, this can be written as 1 into 1. Therefore, that is nothing but 1. Therefore, I got xy whole to the power n is equal to 1. That means xy is also an nth root of unity. Therefore, we can say xy belongs to G, and it is true for all xy belongs to G. Therefore, closure law is satisfied. Next, consider associative law. So to verify associative law, starting itself, we note that the elements of G, that means the nth roots of unity, are all complex numbers. And also we know that the set of all non-zero complex numbers is an abelian group under multiplication. So the multiplication of complex numbers is always associative. That means the nth roots of unity or the elements of G satisfies associative law. So by writing like this, it's enough. Since the elements of G are all complex numbers and the multiplication of complex numbers is associative, we have x of yz is equal to xy of z for all xyz belongs to G. Therefore, associative law is satisfied. Now let us consider identity law. So you can observe that in the set G, what may be the identity element. If you consider any element and what is the element I should multiply so that I get same element. So in set G means I have 1, a square, etc. a to the power n minus 1. So if I consider a, what is the element I should multiply so that 1, I get 1, that is 1 itself. So a into 1 or 1 into a is equal to a. Therefore, 1 belongs to G is the identity element because 1 into x means any element of G. 1 into x is equal to x into 1 is equal to x, and it is true for all x belongs to G. Therefore, I got the identity element. Therefore, identity law is satisfied. Okay, next consider inverse law. Before finding the inverse elements, let us consider the set G of all nth roots of unity, that is G is equal to 1, a square, etc. a to the power n minus 1, where a is equal to e to the power 2 pi I by n. Okay, now put n is equal to 4. If you put n is equal to 4, we get G is equal to 1 a square up to, since n is equal to 4, we get 4 minus 1, that is 3, therefore up to a cube. What is a? A is equal to e to the power 2 pi I by 4. This is 2 ones are 2 twos are, therefore this is nothing but e to the power pi by 2 I. Okay, now we shall find that value. Consider a is equal to e to the power pi by 2 I, and this can be written as cos pi by 2 plus I sin pi by 2. So what is cos pi by 2 value? That is 0 plus I into sin pi by 2 value is 1. Therefore we get I. Therefore A value is I. Therefore this is equal to 1 I square, and this is I cube. And what is this set? Once again 1 I square value is minus 1. What is I cube? I cube can be written as I square into I. This is minus 1 into I, therefore you get minus I. Therefore this is minus I. So this is nothing but fourth roots of unity. So just now we proved fourth roots of unity is a finite abelian group under multiplication. So in fourth roots of unity we get inverse for all the elements. What is inverse of 1 is itself. Inverse of I is minus I, and inverse of minus I is plus I, and inverse of minus 1 is itself again minus 1. In other words, here inverse of 1 is 1, inverse of I is I cube, and inverse of I cube is I, and inverse of I square is itself. So we note that inverse of I is I cube. Can we write I cube as 4 minus 1? Yes. And inverse of I square is I square itself. I square can be written as I to the power 4 minus 2. What is 4? 4 is nothing but n. So in general, if I take what is inverse of a power r? Inverse of a power r is a power n minus r. So this is the concept. So we shall write that one. For every a power r, if I take any element a power r belongs to G, there exists a power n minus r, which is also in the set G, such that a power r into a power n minus r, which is equal to a power n minus r into a power r. So if you use theory of indices, you get a power n minus r plus r, minus r plus r get cancelled, you get a power n. What's the value of a power n? That is equal to 1, because it is the nth root of unity. Therefore, for every element of G we got inverse, therefore inverse law is satisfied. Okay, next consider commutative law. So again we note that the set of elements of G is nothing but complex numbers, and again in complex numbers multiplication is commutative, therefore we use that one. Since the multiplication of complex numbers is commutative, we have xy is equal to yz, which is true for all xy belongs to G. Therefore commutative law is satisfied. Therefore we have verified all the 5 laws. Therefore G is a abelian group under multiplication. If they prove that finite abelian group, one sentence you write says G is a finite set, or order of G is n. Therefore G is a finite abelian group under multiplication. Okay, I hope you understood how to verify fourth roots of unity as well as nth roots of unity is a abelian group under multiplication. Similarly, try to solve these exercise problems. That is to prove that the square roots of unity as well as cube roots of unity is a finite abelian group under multiplication. You should construct only the Cayley's composition table and verify all the filers. And you should remember one thing is that these roots of unity is always finite abelian group under multiplication. Okay, thank you.